What's up, everybody? It's Justice with the Y, leader of the tribe, hip hopping in this skin since 99, sovereign and divine. All up in this mug, I'm here to give y'all an astrological forecast for the month of September during the year of 2021. Now, during this month of September, we have a lot going on. We have now entered the age of Aquarius, and we've now entered the time of Virgo. We've been into the age of Aquarius. We're still in that transit. That's why there's a lot going on right now. But I'm here to guide you. Don't even fear, never mind any of those worries. Put them back, put them in the closet, put them nowhere near. Because Justice with the Y is here with that info that you need as far as what's going on with astrology. Baby, we here and I'm freestyling and I'm doing pretty fine tonight. So let's keep this rolling. Now, we got a lot of retrogrades going on currently. Jupiter's in retrograde, Saturn's in retrograde, Uranus in retrograde, Pluto's in retrograde. It's a lot going on right now. Even Mercury's about to go in retrograde in this month of September. And I got that info you need just to keep you ahead and keep you going and knowing what's going on. We got a new moon in Virgo, full moon in Pisces later on this month. So we got a lot to cover, and I'm here with the information. I'm here with what you need. I'm here with what you got. I'm here, baby. We here today. So yeah, let's just get started. Now, one thing I do want to say is that retrogrades are not necessarily an absolute bad thing. Usually when retrogrades happen, it's not out of coincidence or like, oh, out of nowhere kind of thing. No, it's something that the heavens, so to speak, are recognizing as they're looking at the earth, as they're seeing us all globally. You know, they're recognizing that these are things that we need to be focusing on. And with a lot going on nowadays, it makes sense that like 4, 5, 6 planets right now are like retrograding. They're all asking us, usually during retrograde, it's asking us to take a moment and focus on these areas in life that the planet represents and the sign represents. So we're going to get into all of that, of course. We're going to break all of that down and make it easier for you, make it easy to understand, make it easy to understand so you can know what to do for yourself and your growth, whether that's for your spiritual journey or if you just want to know what's going on astrologically. What's going on in the sky? What's going on in the stars? We don't know. But we'll find out. I got the info. Let's get going. I got the glasses on, so class is on. We have a lunar new moon in Virgo. The sun is in Virgo now. So we're going to have a new moon in Virgo. And this is just a pattern that I've been noticing. I haven't noticed a lot of people speak about. Pretty much 6 months from the new moon is when we'll have the full moon. And the moon will be full in the sign that it was just a new moon in. And 6 months, yes, is half a year. Half a year on average to pretty much learn all the lessons in between that time. And during the new moon, we're planting a seed in this sign. You know, we're planting a seed in Virgo. Virgo is the sign of healing. And so right now, it's a lot of healing that needs to be done. It's a lot of healing that needs to be done, and it's a lot of healing going on. And so with that being said, for the next 6 months, maybe in March, we'll see what we look like 6 months from now in March and see how well we've gotten, how much healing we've done, how much learning we've taken, and how much we've really gotten from this lunar cycle, if you would. Now, Virgo new moon is all about, any new moon period is about creating intentions. But Virgo new moon is about creating intentions and healing and becoming aware of our boundaries for the next 6 months. Mars will be within 10 degrees, urging us to have a practical plan, getting grounded, getting our shit together, really. We might do a really big detox. We might just do a big release. We might do rituals to pretty much get rid of a lot of trauma or a lot of something that we've been struggling with prior to getting ourselves together. And one more thing I will say about this new moon is the fact that Neptune is going to be in opposition of this new moon. Neptune is the planet of illusion, of dreams, of spiritual happenings, things of those natures. So with it being in opposition to this moon, we have to learn to allow our intuitive feelings and our intellectual thinking to meet in the middle. There is indeed a third mind state besides thinking and feeling. It's knowing. And so with knowing, we operate in this sense of not needing to worry, you know, of not needing to have these fears. When we stay in the sense of knowing, we know what it is and we know what it isn't and what it isn't and what it is. We just know. It's way better because you're not thinking too far ahead. We stay in the present. We're not overreacting and we're not overthinking, but we're pretty much at a really good balance here. With that being said, we want to be aware of keeping that intact during this time. Uranus will be in a trine with this new moon, giving us a sense of change nearby. So be open to that and see what the universe, God, and nature have in store for us. Uranus is a sign of changeability. It is a planet of pretty much sporadic action. You know, you really don't know what's coming out the box with Uranus. Uranus is a really random one. So knowing that it's trine with the new moon, it's not going to do bad harm, but it is indeed going to bring change. So keep that in mind. Saturn will also be trine Mercury, which will help us in this new moon with our inner guru. We'll have this inner sense of knowing really blossom with that trine. And what that's going to do is going to help us with our healing. It's going to help us get past those old wounds, the old traumas and everything. And it's really going to help with this new moon. So we're going to have a really potent release. Like I said, it's going to be a really potent new moon to get a lot of change done and get a lot of growing in. We have to be aware of our boundaries, recreating, restructuring, and respecting our boundaries. We have to learn to operate with knowing and knowing that change is bound to come. So we have to take in awareness of our flaws. We have to take in accountability prior to learning to get through these things, prior to learning to get to the next step to move on, so that we're not stuck in the same chapter and we're actually learning to harness our power and grow through this rather than to deflect it and to carry on as whatever way we have been. Now, with that said about the new moon, we do have a full moon. We have our Pisces full moon in September 20th. Pisces full moon, September 20th, is going to heighten compassion, intuitive awareness, or it may just make you overwhelmed and confused, depending on your openness to change, your acceptance, depending on where you are in life. That full moon is going to be really good. It's going to be a really good harvest, and that full moon is going to show us all the growth that we've made since the new moon of this year. So be looking out for that and know what you've done prior to growing spiritually, personally on your journey, so that you know and you can keep track with yourself way better during a time like now. Know that you'll be harvesting all that you've learned, all that you've gotten from that time of that new moon in Pisces, in this full moon in Pisces for this month of September. Moving forward, we also have Venus moving into Scorpio from Libra on September 10th. And what that does is that it's going to give us a deep emotional connection within ourselves and with others on a soul level. And with the healing time, we may evaluate healing our sexual trauma, insecurities, maybe even the way that we view intimacy. You know, if we've had relationship issues, or if we had an ex that really did us dirty, or maybe we were just having a rough time with dating. You know, things of these natures, we're going to really learn how to heal those. If you haven't really taken the time to work on yourself, I do not recommend starting a new relationship. It's just a lot of planets in retrograde right now. We really need to work on ourselves during a time like now. You'll see why. September 15th, Mars moves into Libra. This may help us assert ourselves in a way more mature, harmonious, and diplomatic way. Libra is a sign of love. It is actually ran by Venus. With having Mars in Libra, it's really going to help us learn to put our energy in a very harmonious way, a way that we can coexist. Our words are going to get softer with one another. We're going to learn how to really communicate with others in a way that shows that we care, that shows that we're willing to share, that shows that we're willing to see where you're coming from on your end, so that you can also see where I'm coming from on my end too. Libra's right here in the middle. It's the middle sign of all of these. So we're going to see a big balance in between this. So we're going to be able to work on our balance within ourselves and our balance with how we communicate with others. August 30th. Now, Mercury has also moved into Libra. With Mercury also in the sign of Libra, it's also going to help us communicate in more gentle ways, with a more kind touch to it, with a soothing, peacekeeping type of energy, type of tone, type of diplomacy. Our relationships hold a special meaning during this time. One thing I will also keep note of is that Mercury is going to start going retrograde in the month of September. But no need to fear, no need to worry. While Mercury is in the month of Libra, it actually links and connects with Jupiter about 3 times throughout this whole thing. You know, usually when people see Mercury retrograde or know that Mercury's retrograding, we already know we're going to have communication clashes and things of those nature. But with it connecting with Jupiter so many times, so frequently, this is actually going to be a good retrograde. But just know we'll be keeping the peace and we'll be keeping the harmony. Everything is going to be just fine. Listen to what I got for you. Mercury and Libra linking 3 times with Jupiter is going to give us that boost of positivity, of growth, and help us integrate what we learned from this time into our lifestyles and pretty much the philosophy of our life overall. Now let's actually get into the retrogrades while we're speaking on them. Mercury's retrograde in Libra starts September 27th and ends October 18th. This retrograde is going to teach us to be mindful of our decisions, to help make room for our agreements, and ensure balance in avoiding superficial exchanges, conversations, and to avoid seeking validation. And it's going to help us with our indecisions with our relations. You know, usually during Mercury retrograde, we all have a moment in time where we thinking about somebody that we just had an argument or debate with, or we know that we not having a good alignment right now, and we be like, yo, do I really need them in my life? Like, really, do I want this person here? Do I want to talk with this person? Do I even want, what is it? These are things that we actually need to evaluate. That's what retrogrades are good for. And in reality, it's really teaching us how we can work and cope more with our relationship issues, with our disagreements, with our arguments and stuff. Whenever Mercury goes retrograde, it's actually here to help us communicate. It brings to the surface issues that we've been having, depending on whatever sign Mercury is in. And with Libra being a sign of love, being a sign of balance, being a sign of good judgment, we're going to be able to work on these things during a time like now. Just know that Mercury is the planet of communication, so we're going to be able to integrate both of these. Jupiter touches base with Mercury about 3 times. It's going to be fine. Just bear with me. We'll be all right. The next retrograde we have is Uranus. Uranus actually already started retrograde on August 19th, but I wanted to cover it anyway. It's going to be retrograding until January 18th. That's all the way to next year. Uranus is the planet of changeability. Again, it's the planet of randomness. It's the planet of spontaneous action. So we need to keep these things in mind, knowing that a lot of things are pretty much showing themselves through. Taurus is a sign of relationships, finances, material things. So to have Uranus go retrograde in a sign like this, it's really going to show us that we need to take our time to check our inner inventory. See what we need to let go of in relation to negative lifestyles and what we've outgrown, whether that has to do with jobs, finances, materialistic things, relationships, and so on. We are looking to move forward and move into freedom, and we need to make a stable plan and to trust in God, the universe, nature, the high and divine for more clarity. Uranus and Taurus is also going to influence us to be thinking ahead. A lot of us are going to be thinking about going off grid. A lot of us are going to be thinking about how to go sovereign, creating our own communities, pretty much trying to learn to do things on our own. We might even move out of big cities and move into some place that's way more focused on us, just so we can actually say, this is something that we've earned, this is something that I have, this is something that cannot be taken away from me. Just know that Uranus going retrograde causes for more freedom. Uranus is a planet of liberation. It's a planet of freedom. It's a planet of righteousness, but sporadic righteousness. And so with thinking about these things and thinking about Taurus, an earth sign at that, we really want to learn to get grounded, stay grounded, and know what it is that we own. We want to own more. We want to be able to say that we have this, that we have control, or that we're able to have a plan that says that we'll be just fine, especially with all these sporadic events going on nowadays. Uranus really needed to go retrograde so that we can catch up with everything and really realign ourselves with the time that we're in. So stay thinking ahead. Our next retrograde is Pluto, who's already started retrograding as well. But Pluto is going to be the first planet to stop retrograding. Starting its retrograde in April 27th of 2021, it's ending its retrograde October 1st of 2021. Now, Uranus and Taurus is bound to affect those with signs in Aquarius, Scorpio, Leo, and of course Taurus. Pluto retrograding in Capricorn is bound to affect signs such as Aries, Libra, Cancer, and Capricorn, of course, in areas such as career, long-term goals, power, surrender, and control. Its encounter with the Sun, Moon, Mercury, and Mars, and Venus throughout this whole retrograde reveal toxic patterns in our relationships that must be purged and let go of. And allowing us to release such open doors for our empowerment, for our self-empowerment, and readies us for control when it goes direct. The whole point of this retrograde is to find power within, and we may prefer independence during and after this time, learning to trust ourselves more. Pluto is the planet of power. As small as it is, it packs a punch. And one thing you need to know with Pluto and Capricorn is a sign that pretty much keeps to itself. It is also an earth sign too. Capricorns are known for being the hermit, those that keep to themselves, that work in themselves, and that pretty much are very stable alone. So with that being said, we're going to learn to have our power and harness our power, of course, on our own. Pluto is retrograding, but we also have to learn to trust ourselves and our independence. We have to learn to trust our own direction. And Pluto in Capricorn is going to pretty much highlight that for us during this retrograde. The importance of us learning to depend on ourselves and to learn from ourselves and to empower ourselves through such trust. The next sign we have on our list is Saturn. Saturn started retrograde May 23rd of this year, and it stops retrograde in October 10th. With Saturn going retrograde, it's pretty much leaving us to our own rules, leaving us to our own devices, and leading us to learn on our own. With this retrograde in Aquarius, we are learning our own sense of direction and to create our own boundaries. Aquarius operates with the higher mind and collective consciousness, and Saturn governs karma. So pretty much these two are going to help us prepare our boundaries for the future. Now, another retrograde we have going on is Jupiter, being a planet of good luck, of abundance, and so many other good qualities. Retrograding in Pisces has a lot to say. Jupiter actually started its retrograde in Pisces June 20th of 2021, and it's going to end its retrograde October 17th. Now, during this retrograde, Jupiter actually happens to retrograde so hard, it gets knocked back into the sign of Aquarius. But it'll go back into the sign of Pisces in December of this year. With that being said, Jupiter's been in Aquarius since July 28th. But the things that we need to know about this retrograde, we may want to avoid reality and TV, books, fantasies, maybe even drugs. However, we will crave spiritual and emotional deep connections with others and have a renewed vision of our dreams and goals. Pisces is a very dreamy, very spiritual sign. And with Jupiter going retrograde here, it's going to help us learn and know what we really want from the spiritual aspect of our lives. What it is that we want to learn, what it is that we intuitively know that we're craving, that we're thirsty for. We really want to get to this. It's going to help us realize these things and really reevaluate our goals in the sense of our journey. Maybe we want to learn more about astrology during our spiritual journey. Maybe we want to learn more spiritually about ourselves within, so that we never have to feel like we need anything outside of ourselves. Jupiter retrograding in Pisces and then into Aquarius, the sign of not only knowledge and curiosities, but also the sign of, well, humanity as a whole. It's going to help us know what we really want, not only for ourselves, but what do we want for humanity as well. Jupiter retrograding in these two signs is going to really pack a powerful punch. And for it to go direct again, wow, we're going to have us a good time really realizing what it is and be really assured of what it is that we want for ourselves collectively and spiritually. And last but not least, the sign we have retrograding in Pisces as well is Neptune. Neptune started its retrograde in June 25th and is going to keep retrograding until November 30th. With this retrograde, we have memories of the past mistakes, trauma. All of these things could resurface to be solved for good. Higher intuition also takes place. As Neptune sits opposite of the Sun on September 13th, it's going to cause us to have a lot of great self-doubt, or it may really amplify our self-care. Chances are we're going to really need to take time for ourselves during this day or just during this area of September, depending on one's journey. In the midst of confusion and illusion, stay present. Yo, one thing I will say about Neptune going retrograde in Pisces as well is that there'll be times and chances where I look over my shoulder and it's like a shadow's there. Or, you know, I may have a moment where I'm in public and I think I see someone that looks just like my cousin. Or, you know, just some loved one that I haven't seen in a while, or that has carried over, or things of these natures. You want to be careful because Neptune going retrograde in Pisces can also give off a lot of illusion. Spiritually, this is a time where we need to really recollect on trusting ourselves within, so that we can figure out everything out here. So now we're getting to the conclusion of this video. Pretty much the lessons that we're seeing are that we're going to need to learn to depend on ourselves, learn to go within, and learn to really trust ourselves prior to developing our own boundaries. We're going to need to learn to restructure and pretty much respect ourselves in a way that's going to open us up for higher consciousness, for higher learning, and for more spiritual connections. These are a lot of important things that we need to keep note of during a time like now. So I want to also throw in that if you're looking for a personal reading, whether it's a tarot reading, an astrology reading, whatever the case may be, I also can be found on Fiverr, and you can also just reach out to me in like plenty of my other platforms that I post on. Yes, I do have my own website. I also have my own business. I do my own readings. If you want something more personal, more concrete, something more specified specifically for you, feel free to reach out to me. I got you. Also, I want to say that I've gotten to celebrate my first YouTube video being taken down because it was just way too woke. I will let you all know that I did post a video on natural remedies to defeating Coco. So if you're looking for that, YouTube will not let me have it on here. You might as well find me on bitshoot.com. I know what it looks like, but it's actually called bitshoot.com. Find me on there. You'll be sure to find some natural remedies to defeating Coco as well. I include videos of doctors who also recommend these same alternatives that I'm speaking on. I actually go deep into detail on each one, and I walk you through where you can find each one, what each of their properties will do and everything. And I also have videos and clips of other doctors, of the doctors that I've been watching and learning from, that have spoken on, you know, other alternatives prior to not getting the stick. So another thing I want to mention, if you want to learn more about astrology and really know what's going on as far as spiritually with astrology, I will say a little gem right here. We are in a spiritual war. Right now I'm going to recommend a couple books for you so that maybe you can learn really what's going on. One thing that I will recommend firstly is The Aquarian Conspiracy. Now, many of you may have actually heard that we are in the age of Aquarius now. And right now we are in a transit. We're definitely in a transit, but we need everyone to wake up. So one thing I will recommend is The Aquarian Conspiracy by Marilyn Ferguson. She's actually a really good writer. She put together this big novel years ago, decades ago, about this time that we're in right now. She's went to many different conferences, spoke with many different people from a lot of different professions, and this is everything that she's collected from these said conferences for the time being right now. Another one that I will recommend, no tea, no shade to anyone who is Christian. I will say it's called The Astrological Foundation of the Christ Myth. I recommend book 4. It's titled War in Heaven, hence the time that we're in now. You actually learn a lot about the seat of the throne, the astrological seat of the throne, and to know who is actually taking over, what's taking over, and who's being dethroned, to know that we actually are having that the whiz feeling, to have that can you feel a brand new day feeling. That's a lot of what's going on during this time right now. So if you want to know more about astrology and really know what's going on, really be woke and hip as to the time that we're in, and know why the media is doing so much and why all of this is going on, it's because we're in a spiritual war, baby. And I'm definitely teaching you, giving you some homework to do if you want to learn more. So just a couple gems to give you in the end. Again, I'm justice with the Y on everything. Justice with the Y when I succeed, when I try. I'm justice with the Y, baby. I open my third eye. I'm justice with the Y, and I succeed when I try. Got love and knowledge for my people, every girl, every guy. I will see y'all next time. Love you.